The Sidekick Weekly Pull.
Comics!
There's comics and stuff. And hardcovers that are... Does it still count as a comic if it's like that?
That's a board book.
Okay, but it's about comics.
Just trying to get by to the next fix, living between Wednesdays. Prefer the comics over the Netflix, living between Wednesdays. The first John Romita Spidey
Well, by that definition, really, every kid's book is a comic book because they're filled with pictures, right? What defines a comic book? Is it just words and pictures? Does it need to be sequential paneling?
Like as a trade comic?
Yeah, no, I feel like some kids' books are storybooks.
Yeah.
Where it's like one illustration per
Yeah,
bunch
like I
of
love
prose.
this. Like I would not call this a comic book.
Yeah.
Like it's because it has
It's a
pictures and
story
words.
book.
It's a story
Yeah.
book, and the words and art both inform each other.
A comic
But-
book has sequentials.
I guess it doesn't matter, though, at the same time. As long as
Yeah.
it's entertaining to look at and read.
But then
Dear
if we look
comics.
at The Death of Superman, the final issue, where it's only one image per, so would that not...
It's a storybook.
Yeah, but there's, there's no story.
They were leading to that, though, like the sixth one before that had 6 panels
Yeah,
a
and then
page,
5
and then
panels,
5,
yeah.
then 4, then 3, then 2, then
Yeah,
1.
see, that's an experiment in comic books.
Yeah.
Which pulled,
Yeah.
it's worked out. It's a cool comic. I still like The Death of Superman, number 75 or whatever, where he gets
You
beat
can
to
have
death.
the reader version I tossed into our reader bin because I hated it so much.
Really?
I got it for like $5 because it was like, I've heard so much about this, and I read it, and I was like, wow, that was just bad, and I put it in our reader bin.
Doomsday's still a character. He's
I
still
guess that
running
was
around.
it's just the first like 3 issues are Doomsday punching Justice League members I've never read a page of before because I haven't read like
You
80s,
haven't read
90s
the
Justice
Bloodwind with a
And-
Y?
I can't say I'm
Wind.
particularly attached to Guy Gardner either. So it's just like watching Doomsday beat them up. And I'm like, oh, I guess Guy Gardner and Blue Beetle got beat up. And then he kills Superman, and that's the whole comic.
And Green Lady? Green Smoke Lady?
The green lady. Oh.
Jeez.
Harrison.
Jeez, Harrison. I thought it was...
We read comics with our eyes that weren't just Death of Superman.
Thank God.
Yes. This was a good week in comics.
It was.
Things are starting to normalize. We're getting quite a few books.
Things are snowballing. We're getting more and more books every week.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So, Harrison,
Oh, man.
pick of the week. I know you can't pick Immortal Hulk every week.
But Immortal Hulk was the best.
I know.
I've sold Immortal Hulk enough on this channel. It's the best comic ever. Go read it. Now,
Issue 34 came out today.
it was very good. Nice return to normalcy. I think we all had like. Is it safe to say we all had the favorite number one? Are we all?
Chris and I already discussed this. Whatever you pick, I will pick the other one. For Chris, so I can pick a third one if you need be.
We'll figure it out.
What do you guys? What do
No,
you guys
I
go-
said you go.
Oh God.
Does it have to be on number 1? Pick of the week?
I mean, we could just talk about the number ones
I mean,
if it's too hard.
I really liked the Plunge issue 4.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh,
Plunge is
honestly-
cool. I want to hear about the Plunge because I like
Okay.
1 and 2, but I
Yeah.
missed 3, I think. So what's going on in 4?
Yeah, the Plunge.
Help me out
honestly,
here,
I
Harrison.
feel like I missed issue 3 as well because I have like a gap in my memory of. Well, I mean, I always have a gap in my memory of comics I read a few months ago because that is my mind.
It's the nature of comics.
But it's like a small crew of like water.
Water
Water
people?
people?
Yeah.
A small crew of water people.
You mean people on a boat?
Yeah, that is what I meant. Oh my God.
That was amazing.
I gotta get in on this.
It's a
Whatever we're having, you should have.
there's a distress signal from some Arctic island. The last ship crashed there like 80 years ago. They send a small crew of water people. Water people like divers and oil, like a representative of an oil company and like researchers and people that you would send to an Arctic island.
So it's kind of like Armageddon, but with water. and
Sort
stuff.
of. The head of the crew, he usually takes a diving rig out to like old shipping crates that have like sunk in the bottom of the ocean and tries to scavenge whatever he can. And he's the best at that, and that's why he gets employed for this specific mission, because it turns out like the rig that crashed, they're getting a distress signal from it, but it got kind of like swept up in a storm, so they're not sure like how far down it is, or like, and they want to rescue the cargo specifically from this ship because it had some experimental sort of tech on it.
Yeah, and then of course they get there and things are a little spookier than they anticipated.
You know.
There's like dead bodies animated by a singular consciousness and like weird centipedes, and it's gross.
Yeah.
And it's like these the DC Hill House, like these horror titles.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed all of them, but unfortunately there's so many at once, which was great. We got like issues 1, 2, and 3 of all these horror comics before.
Are these all written by Joe Hill, or are they just an umbrella?
That's like he is writing 1 or 2 of them, but
So
that's
it's
sort of like
it's like a Blumhouse model.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because there were so many good ones, sort of all around the same time,
Yeah.
and then we took a few months back, and now we're getting issues 4 and 5 of these.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to reading them all in trade.
Yeah, I honestly think it's a missed opportunity that we didn't just sink them all into trades, because I think because of the story structure, they've got like kind of like a Tales from the Crypt sort of like horror structure where you're given like little pieces that tease sort of what the overarching like malice of the story is going to come from and be. Like it can get really lost, and then we had like a 3-month gap.
Yeah.
So I think you're not going to be the only one who has this problem.
That's a relief. Usually it's just like I just have the worst
Usually
memory
it's just
for
you
details.
and the water people.
That's gonna follow me for a while.
It's not on video. We can pull it up just intermittently. No, it's a weird thing to have gaps in it like this, because usually these stories are like shorter because you want to kind of like punch out the suspense and the mystery and then follow it up with like the big conclusion.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fucked up the pacing a little bit to do it this way. Not that I'm not still enjoying it.
That's the thing, is usually I go away, come back, I read it, I'm like, I don't remember what's happening and I'm confused, but I still really, really enjoyed reading this issue, which I think is testament to...
I thought the Plunge did a better job than a lot of things of like relying mostly on the characters and their relationship to each other to tell the story, and less like a bunch of like spooky Easter eggs that are gonna hatch eventually.
Because another one of the Hill House...
I'd read that comic.
The one there was another Hill House horror title recently with the dollhouse, right?
Yeah.
That was really enjoying, but there's a lot of like time jumping and stuff. It's like this family had the dollhouse, and this family in this timeline had the dollhouse, and this sailor in this cave discovered the... And then when we got another issue of it after several month hiatus, I just...
No idea what was happening.
Yeah, I just couldn't
That's what I
follow.
mean. This is like a more linear storyline. There's sort of like an established like hierarchy of characters, for lack of a better way of putting it. Like there's the captain, there's the 2 guys on his crew who he always works with, then there's the new researcher who's a biologist, and then there's the guy who contracted them. So like those roles are very clear. And they're sort of like the character sketches, like one guy has a mustache, one guy is kind of like a younger dude, like they look very different from each other. I do
appreciate that as well, and all the characters are very different looking.
Because sometimes, it gets a little muddy. You're like, oh, other white guy with the crew cut. Like, I have no idea what's happening. So at least there's that, and then each sort of issue has had like issue 1 was like establishing what the mystery was. Like they're looking for a ship. It went missing in this way.
We also met the water people.
The water people,
got to know them really well. I remember the first issue being really struck by the characterization already. If I embrace it, you can't make fun of me for it.
I thought about it for a second. It made me think of that movie with Cold Skin. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
There's a evil lighthouse movie with these like blue dolphin ice people, and it made me think of that. I'm like, oh, were there like water people? Oh no, that's a callback. Sorry. Cold Skin.
Cold Skin.
Okay, I don't know
It's
that one.
2 guys in a lighthouse, and every night they have to fight the water people.
They have to fight like these primitive. Like,
They're
Oh, it's one with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, right?
no,
basically.
yeah.
I did tell you that I finally saw The Lighthouse, right?
Yeah, you like
I know
it.
you.
Yeah.
I told
Yeah.
you. Loved it. It was
It's great. William Dafoe deserves every accolade he can get.
Yeah.
For
Which biggest accolade I think would be a Green Goblin return, but
I actually think they should have given him an Oscar, but it was just a lighthouse.
Aww.
aw.
And then he would have came up there and he could be like, "You liked me, lobster. You really liked me, lobster."
I saw like a clickbaity headline. There was like a in talks, so it's not at all real news.
Yeah.
But apparently Michael Keaton is
Coming back for Batman?
Yeah, for what was it? The Flash movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, hell yeah.
Fine.
Oh, of course, but isn't Ben Affleck the Batman in that continuity? Or are they just
Ben
like,
Ben Affleck is done.
I know he's done for
Capital
sure, but I mean, like,
T.
are they gonna be like cross dimensions, different Bruce Wayne, or are they just gonna be like, this is the same Bruce Wayne, accept that?
I think they're just gonna.
If
tell
they're
us to
jumping
accept
around.
it.
If they're-
And it's also a timeline thing.
yeah, if they're jumping around universes, then that's fine.
Yeah,
Also-
Keaton's so much older, so they
Yeah.
could just be like, it's him later.
Maybe they'll do the whole Kingdom Come Batman like they tried to do in the big CW crossover.
Oh, with Kevin
recently.
Conroy?
Yeah, I didn't hear great things about it.
Do whatchamacallit? Do fucking Batman Beyond. That'd be great. Get a young, like, 18-year-old native kid to be Terry McGinnis. Yeah.
I'd watch it.
And have Michael Keaton, like, be his protege.
Yeah,
that'd be
I
great.
would be so into that. But no, instead we're getting, I don't know, whatever the CW's doing. A Stargirl?
There's 2 Stargirl shows. We're way off topic here.
That's what they come for. They come for the anecdotes.
I know that.
They come for the anecdotes.
That's
stay for
our
the fresh
thing.
new comics.
That's the only thing people comment on with these. They're just our tangents. But anyway, sorry. The Plunge. You recommend it.
Take a plunge into reading the Plunge.
Cool.
Thank
Honestly,
you.
there's not a lot of spooky, like, ship comics. Like, oh, a lost ship, and then what's going on? And then it has kind of like a Thing vibe.
Yep.
So,
But it's
I'm
DC.
excited for that.
DC's
Yeah.
been putting out cool horror comics, and I respect that.
We're still gonna get them, even though, you know, they're doing their thing. They're doing their split.
We'll see
But,
how
Chris,
that goes.
but Chris, you read a bunch of comics, probably more than both of us combined this week.
I read all the comics.
Yeah. Which number one startled you the most?
Oh no! I know that this means it's up to me what you talk about.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about Sleeping Beauties.
You son of a... Okay, sure.
Oh, whatever. We both agreed we had equal stakes in this.
Okay.
So we got a new number 1 by IDW. I wasn't sure what to think about it. At first, by the solicit. So we just kind of like, we took the plunge on this one too.
Hey, quick question. So this
yes.
is based on a book written by Stephen King and Owen King.
Yes.
Who's Owen King? Because I know Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, but he writes under Joe Hill, so he wasn't associated with it. Does he have another son who's just like, no, but I'm going to keep the name King so I can cash in on it?
I don't know, does he?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know
I'll look it up.
anything about the actual book.
I got it right here. I'm
To the internet. You've got the internet box.
While I'm Googling, tell
Yes.
me about this sweet new book.
So this was adopted into a comic by Rio Yores.
Rio Yores, yes,
Yeah.
and Allison Sampson.
Yeah. So
Which is Allison Sampson. Keep doing your thing. And colors. I love the fucking colors in this.
yes, honestly.
Yeah.
So the art's really, really nice, but it follows a husband and wife. He is a psychologist at a local prison. She is the local sheriff.
She's the warden. Oh, wait, no, you're right. She's
Yeah.
the sheriff. Sorry. There's a warden in it.
So at the same time, they are investigating separate occurrences in their town. A woman takes down a meth lab, and then at the prison, one of the inmates kind of like loses it, and they throw her in like the loony bin. But globally in this universe, they're talking about something called the Aurora sickness.
Yes.
And it's that women are falling asleep and not waking back up.
and then their faces get covered in spider webs.
Well, at first they're like, sometimes there's like a translucent like cobweb that sort of forms, but they don't know much about it. And then one person falls asleep and they have that, and then like later on in the comic someone gets the full wraparound, and then they have that, and by the end someone has caught it, and then they fall down, and then there's like butterflies and stuff. So we have no idea what's going on with that specifically.
Unless you've read the book by Stephen and Owen King, you probably know exactly what's going on.
Yes.
But then again, Stephen
then-
King doesn't like to say what everything is sometimes.
Sometimes he
shit just
himself
happens.
forgets
Yeah,
because he was so high when he wrote it.
yeah, who knows? But Owen King, what do we got? Is that a son?
Oh, I couldn't reach the Wi-Fi, so I don't know. I could just
Oh.
reach like one bar of another Wi-Fi called It Hurts When I Pee 5G. One of the neighbors, I guess.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
that's,
weird, I can't reach it from upstairs, but I can reach it down here, so I don't know whose that would be.
Whose router is the closest to our basement?
I like dungeon.
Our
It
dungeon.
looks less dungeony than it used to.
I know. We still remember the
Same
dungeon.
problem.
Really?
yeah, let's just say Owen King is a son, because that'd be too coincidental if they found a guy named Owen King.
Well, that's just so funny that like he has one son who changes his name to not be associated when he writes his stuff, and the other son's just like, nah, I'm gonna cash in on this. Hey.
Yeah, but this is a collab. Like, the book is a collab.
Yeah.
Though. So, like, I don't know.
And it would be Steve.
Maybe
I don't
Owen
know.
King is Joe Hill, and he just didn't do the pseudonym for that one.
So it'd be Joe
Because
King.
they were actually working together?
Maybe.
But then they worked
Oh.
together on the tall grass.
Is this what people did before the internet? They just
They
wondered.
just
And
speculated.
I was like, oh, I guess they're the same person. Anyway.
Anyway, Sleeping Beauties. It's a good book. I really like it. The color palette is.
Oh yeah, the colors are stark. I really like how they connected the two stories. I thought that was good. There's part of me that feels a little bit too like. Obviously, they solicited this book and it was set to come out before everything happened. But right now, I'm like, oh, there's like random talk on the news that this might be happening in Australia. And then they're like, oh, it's happening some other places, but not really. Oh shit, someone's like actually sick like right now in my backyard. And I'm like, bleh. Stop.
A little poignant.
But
Yeah.
the hoax, the Aurora hoax.
It's yeah. So I'm excited to see what happens. I don't know what this means for the characters or sort of the world building as a whole in this. Like, what happens when you do fall asleep? What's happening to your mind? What's happening to your body? What does a world look like after that? If all the women just kind of fall asleep and become butterflies. So
Yeah, that seems to be what they're hinting at.
So I'm really excited to read this book. I actually might pick up the book and read it before the comics all come out, because
Yeah.
I'm a nerd like that.
Nerd.
Nerd,
You own a comic store, nerd.
nerd. But that leaves Jay with
The Texas Blood by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. It's just really good. Go read it. All right, there's some more stuff about
Hey,
it.
thanks, guys. Bye.
no. We all read this and really liked it.
Yeah, it was my favorite too, but I was gonna leave it for you guys. So you're
It's
welcome.
the yeah, okay. So like this
Yeah,
is,
we basically flipped a coin and then.
we unanimously all like The Texas Blood, and we're not really sure what the it's about yet. The hook is because a comic's different, right? It's like almost like the first episode of a series. We're like, what's this
It's
about?
a pilot.
And and the last
Yeah.
page of the last thing, like, oh, he's gonna sell meth, whatever. That doesn't happen in this, but that Texas Blood, it stars a sheriff, and it's his 70th birthday, and his wife's gonna cook him a casserole, and just
And
him.
he's just like pontificating about getting old.
Most of this issue is talking about
Is-
getting old and about a casserole dish.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's really good. There's a crackly Coen Brothers energy to it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's not crackly when it's Coen Brothers energy, but there's a nice languid simmer of it that is it's really cool in that aspect.
A
'Cause,
lot
like,
of it happens in inner monologue,
Yeah.
and then conversations over the the ham radio to his wife,
Yeah.
and that's it.
So it's mostly him going through his day, so you get this sense of the rhythm, and then something terrible happens at the very end, and but like the characters are already so three-dimensional already that I'm like, all right, I'm sold, and the dialogue's so nice and sharp, and everything is paid off, even in a 22 page comic, and it's gorgeous to look at. It's a really well-framed, well-illustrated comic. The cover, I think we got a variant cover.
We did.
It's got a weird zombie man in it. I don't know if zombies will be in this. It's not in this.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate actually that this is the cover because it comes out of a dream sequence.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like the book at all.
Yeah.
We don't have internet to Google what the actual cover is, so we can all just imagine it.
Either way, I'm jazzed to see it. I'm jazzed to read the next one at least. But yeah, a big. Not since Dying is Easy, the other Joe Hill book about comedians. Not since that one was ever like, damn, #1, good job.
Dying is Easy was very good. That's another one I'm very excited for a trade for.
Yeah, oh, so good. Yeah, I'm ready. But anyway, other stuff we have.
Other stuff. We did get other #1s this week. So it's worth mentioning that this week begins the Empyre Marvel event.
Big summer, every summer Marvel's like, all the superheroes are facing the BBEG, which is a new term that I learned, BBEG, Big Bad Evil Guy.
Oh, cool.
It's used a lot in like D&D memes and stuff.
Nice.
Big Bad Evil Guy.
Yeah.
BBEG. Is it faster to say BBEG than Big Bad
It's
Evil Guy?
faster to type. I don't think I've said it out loud before. I've
yeah.
just read it.
Like goat. Like, oh, that's the goat. The greatest of all time. Yeah. What are you reading, Harrison?
We were talking about Avengers.
Oh, that's right.
Empyre, big Marvel event. Kree and
this
Skull are gonna get team up, even though they haven't done that. I think probably not at some point. But
This is actually a true issue 0. I was saying that to you upstairs.
it's not issue 1. It's issue 0.
But it really just spends its time establishing the lore of those characters through the lens of Iron Man.
Yes.
Yeah. So they take a bunch of time with Tony Stark and the other Avengers who are going to be involved in this too, just looking at sort of the like interstellar political climate of what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Which is good because they establish sort of like the big player in terms of like the prophecy holder.
Yeah.
And what's sort of gonna happen cosmically. And if you're not familiar with like a bunch of Avengers back lore like I'm not, it would mean that without this, issue 1 is indecipherable.
Yes.
So I do appreciate them giving me a setup issue, although I think this is still a full cover price comic, so it's still like a $6 Canadian comic book, which is like, here, give me $6 just so you can understand what's about to happen to you.
Yeah.
And I am kind of like not that into that as a concept.
But there are though the people who are very much the hardcore superhero comic book fans that are gonna read this and are gonna absolutely love it. They always get like the was War of the Realms was it the summer event last year? Has it been a year since War of the Realms?
War of the Realms, yeah, it started after C2E2, the year we went.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow. Alrighty.
Yeah, because Matt went to that Jason Aaron pack.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who's the green guy with the sword? Who's that?
That's the swordsman, like the classic
The
Avenger,
swordsman,
the swordsman. He's
Okay.
usually purple.
Oh. Okay.
He's around again.
Oh.
There's a lot of like, through this celestial entity, with marrying with this, rebirthed this, but in my purer form, with the celestial emissary, like there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
What I find so fascinating, because Al Ewing wrote this. He's the head writer on this Empyre event. He is also the writer of the Immortal Hulk. I'm not a fan of big team up titles. That's just it's not. I'm not the target audience. I'm not really into just there's 7 of us here, so you can't really spend any time getting to know any of us. We're gonna fight the BBEG. I'm glad there's a place. They give us the big interconnected world, which then allows them to make personal superhero stories once they draw away, but they're not really titles for me anymore. But that being said, I still feel like there's such a marked difference in Al Ewing's writing between his team titles and Immortal Hulk. I don't want to say one is worse or better, because one of them is very much for me, and one is very much not for me. But even with that, they just feel so different in flavor.
I mean, yeah, I think he did a really good job with the inner monologue stuff on Tony. I was interested in that.
Yeah.
Which I don't think a lot of writers do in these big team-up comics. So I did appreciate his voice there. And we'll see is how I feel. Like, if he kind of expands on that during this event, it's something that I might be interested in, but
Other trades.
So this week in comics, we also got a ton of board books.
Lots of board books.
Yeah.
One for each of us to hold, in fact.
Wow! So board books are fun. No, we got 2 Marvel board books that came out. So these are my Mighty Marvel first book. One with Amazing Spider-Man and one with Captain America.
Spider-Man putting on some sweet polygamy in these pages.
Well, you know. So both of these have the original artwork.
That's really cool, the fact that they're...
So they've taken the...
See, by doing that, they don't have to pay current artists to draw them.
Yeah, they can just say they're paying tribute to the classic artists who did them. But in fairness, like, I do like that.
Oh yeah, also I love seeing this imagery. I love the original drawings, but at the same time, that is now I can't help
Steve
but think
Ditko's, with Jack Kirby, they need some...
Oh yeah, like the classic Rhino, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
Batum.
And these actually fold out at times.
Yeah.
So you'll note that. Whoa.
But it makes a lot of sense because, like, if there's so much superhero stuff going on, like, Disney's gonna release like 8 new shows, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a kid, especially a little kid, that means you were born after like Captain America First Avenger, and you have to like go back and watch that. It's so much stuff. It'd be like eating your vegetables for kids.
Well, and it's good that they're doing stuff like this because like when Sidekick first opened in like 2015, Captain America had come out like not too long prior, and kids were coming in with their families and they were like, oh, my kid is like 4 and he really likes Captain America. And you know what was happening in comics right then? Captain America was a Nazi. And that was it. And I was like, they would pick up the single issues of Cap and be like, he wants to read Captain America, is this good? And I'd be like, literally, he won't understand it.
What is your 4-year-old's opinion on Nazis?
It's just, there was nothing for me to give them.
Yeah. No,
So I really appreciate that right now they're coming out with like Avengers crossovers for the hardcore fan, and then like board books for little kids, and then those big Marvel collections for like kids and young adults. Like there's such like a swath of comics lit that you can give them depending on what they're interested in.
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier.
Definitely, because the amount of times I've been asked that a kid likes XYZ superhero or just any superhero stuff, but no punching without the violence. I'm like, well, that's sort of the genre.
Yeah.
So you basically have to go to a board
genre
book that's just like
punching.
getting to know them, but aren't a lot of superhero books without punching.
Yeah. Speaking of no punching, the other board book we got this week is They Say Blue, which is Jillian Tamaki, and if you're familiar with her work, she did Scam and I think Super Mutant Academy. So usually... usually
oh yes, those books.
Usually independent, usually like focused on like coming of age stories, very like expressive artwork. So this is her first like kids book. So yeah, I think
it's gorgeous inside.
It's super pretty. It's basically just musings too, which I appreciate. It's like it's very sort of like cerebral. It's like thoughts that maybe a kid would have. and not really narrative, but I think it's a beautiful book. Definitely worth having. Definitely different than board books that are like, this is a shape. Let's count to 4.
Hey, shapes are hard, Chris.
I just appreciate this sort of like more freeform art object flavor of a board book for a kid. It's really unique in that way. So was excited to get that this week. We also got the Ninja Sex Party graphic novel.
Also a great
The
kid
origin
book.
story of the band.
Also,
And like, it's cute and it's fun and it's like very much in their aesthetic,
It's
but
autobiographical.
it's raw as hell. Like it's just, it's way more down to earth. It's not like the Gore book where it's like this fictional history of what's going on with them.
fictional. The Guar came from space.
well, that's great.
Listen.
Yeah.
It's the right setup no matter what you do.
Yeah.
It's great.
We also got Banned Book Club, which is an autobiographical story of a girl growing up going to university in Korea and reading a bunch of banned books.
What were the banned books?
You'll have to read it and
Oh,
find
I
out.
didn't know we didn't read. Okay.
I actually haven't read it yet.
Oh, I thought you were.
Slaughterhouse 5? That's the book they want to ban in Footloose.
Dun dun dun.
Have you read Slaughterhouse 5?
No.
Shouldn't
It's
be
banned
bad.
in Footloose.
I know, but like,
I
But
live
so is dancing,
very
though, yeah.
rigorously to the rules of Footloose.
I mean, well, we're about to because there's no singing or dancing on patios when they reopen after COVID. So close to Footloose.
is that true?
Yes.
There's a
No
protocol with no
Yeah.
no life.
It has to
okay.
do with
Well,
like
no,
disturbing
but,
the peace and
but
stuff.
also no singing or dancing.
Because singing uses
You
your
won't-
mouth, and your mouth has germs. I
Yes,
guess.
and also if you dance, you won't social distance.
I mean, yeah, dancing 6 feet away from everybody else.
What about the electric slide? You could stay 6 feet away with the electric slide. In fact, you're supposed to stay away from people with the electric slide.
I think the problem is if they tell people no singing or dancing except doing the electric slide, then it might kind of be a gateway into other dance moves. How do you do an electric
can't-
slide and then not transition into like the worm?
You
The
can't-
worm invites a breakdance
No,
circle,
no,
then people
no.
are pairing up.
No,
it's a mess.
break
See,
off into the
no,
Macarena.
no dancing. Just it's easier to just ban dancing.
It's a slippery hole. It's
Ooh. That's what dancing leads to.
Chris, a gift for a ghost.
This is my favorite thing that came out this week by far.
This looks like a Harrison's gonna cry when he reads it kind of cover. Is it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, this is not a sad book.
All right.
I'm very, very excited about this. This book follows a woman in, oh God, what's the era? In 1950 or 1856, who is about to debut, but she would prefer to just write spooky poems about ghosts and Draculas. And her family's very concerned about her coming of age because she just wants to think about the ghosts in the woods and stuff. And has no interest in anything else.
There you go.
And at the same time, in 2016, 3 girls want to start a punk rock band. And it's about how these timelines unexpectedly coalesce because they happened in the same place.
Didn't see that coming at all.
Like the Lake House with
I mean-
Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock.
But it doesn't suck and it's not romantic.
I don't think that's the first time I've mentioned that movie on this podcast.
No,
Have you seen it?
I don't
the
know
Magic
why
Mailbox?
you're obsessed with the lake house secretly.
I don't know. I think it was like I saw it once when it was on TV when I was little, and it's just like burned in there. I literally couldn't tell you anything that happens except they're in love and they're in different times, and there's a mailbox.
They share a mailbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. The non-consequentialness of the lake house is why people talk about it still, because it's like,
Read this book.
Don't watch the Lake House.
Don't watch the lake house. I will say one of the girls in 2016, they decide to swim in the lake nearby their house, and one of the girls dresses up in a monster costume and doesn't go in. And then the other 2 girls are like, okay, we're done, we're gonna go get ice cream. And she's like, all right, just a minute. Runs over to the lake, strips down nude, goes swimming real quick, puts the monster costume back on, runs back over, is like, okay, I'm ready for ice cream.
So it's you.
Yes.
ah,
Nothing has ever been so relatable.
no idea.
So this book was secretly made for me.
All right. Well, good job writing a book for Chris, everybody.
But also,
Not just
the color palette is amazing. It's super duper beautiful. And I really, really liked it.
Reminds me of Ghost Tree a little bit.
Yeah.
Just the color palette. The art style is very different.
The art style's more Magnola.
Yeah.
So,
Neato. Good
highly
week this
recommended. It was a great week.
Yeah.
We read comics.
There was a new Batman thing. There was a new Thor thing. There was a new Immortal Hulk. You really liked it, right?
I did.
It was a good week. if you like comics, there's something for you this week.
Go read some comics.
Yeah, motherfuckers. That's our new sign off.
Wednesday to Wednesday, I be going hard from like Wednesday to Wednesday.
Yeah, hey, pal, you got that one where Superman goes to Supertown? Yeah, I got that when it come out. I like the fourth world.